I want you to read a scripture for me. I want you to get this in your spirit. Isaiah 51. I think that's the right scripture. I'm going to do my research and place it in the description box of the video. You are getting ready to destroy the iron gate. You're getting ready to destroy the iron gate. You are getting ready to do something that you're going to be the first to do it. You're going to be the first to do it in your generation. You're going to be the first to do it in your bloodline. You're going to be the first to do it in your own family. You survived. And the captor has to release whatever has held. Y'all hear me today. God dropped that verse in my spirit. I want you to go read it. I want you to mutter over it. I want you to meditate on it because you're going free. You're not going to go into 2025 how you were in 2024. You're not. So don't worry. Don't stress because you're not going to go into 2025 the way you have lived in 2024. You're going to be the first to do it. Nobody's going to look for you to do this. Nobody's going to believe that God will use you to do this. God said, I take the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. God said, what I'm getting ready to do in your life is going to confuse a lot of people. It's going to leave you baffled too. It's going to leave you scratching your head too. And it's not because you don't have faith. It's not because you don't believe in God. Because you have faith. You trust. And you believe in God. You acknowledge him. You know who he is. But what God is getting ready to do in you, you're going to think that God will use somebody else and not you. Because you're going to look at where you come from. You're going to look at the struggle. You're going to look at what you didn't have growing up. You're going to look at your environment that you were placed in and how hard it is to get out of that place. No, you've been placed in that tough environment for a reason. You've been placed in a rocky and a stony foundation for a reason. Because God is going to use you to dig yourself out. And God's going to use you to dig your family out. You're going to dig out your generation. It's not just about you. You are a generational builder. You are a kingdom financier. God said, I'm going to use your life to do something that's never been done before. You will arise. You're going to be stable in this upcoming season in your life. Even if you had so many years that were not productive, that were not plentiful, that were not fruitful. You all hear me? God said, I'm the same God. He said, I'm the same God yesterday, today, and forevermore. You may have had 7-10 years of, I don't know if you can hear the sirens. Ooh, my God, this is confirmation. And that's my baby barking at those sirens. If y'all hear my little doggy, listen, just like you had 7 years of lack and insufficiency, you're going to have 7, 8, 9, 10 years where God is going to compensate you for all those bad years that you've had. And God is going to cause you to be plentiful. God is going to cause you to be productive. And God is going to cause you to be so fruitful. You are tearing down this iron gate. God is going to kick the door off the hinges. You hear me? God is going to kick that door in. God is going to bust those hinges off so that door can swing open free, because it's time for you to go free. It's time for you to live a life that God put in the word that you should live. You're getting ready to live this life, and people are not going to believe that you have accomplished the things that you've accomplished. And you're not going to be able to give anybody credit for it. See, this is what God does. God uses the foolish thing of the world to confuse people. He said it. I take the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. God said what I'm getting ready to do in your life is going to confuse people. It's going to leave people with their mouth open. It's going to cause them to look at you like a deer in headlights. And it's going to cause them to not even understand what it is and why God would choose somebody just like you. You're going to tear down this iron gate. Hashtag that iron gate will come down. And God is going to use you to tear down that iron gate. You are going to be fruitful. You're going to be productive. Your life is going to stabilize. You're going to be fruitful. You're going to do all these things. And God had to wait to the latter part of your life to do it. The latter days will be greater than your former days. Maybe you thought that what God should have done for you back then, he should have done it. It wasn't time yet. And that environment where you were in wasn't conducive to what God had already pre-planned and preordained for your life. God said, you're going to tear down this iron gate. And everybody that held you back, they got to let you go free. The captors has to release you so you can go free. And what is God freeing you for? God always frees us for him. He never frees us just for us. He don't free us and release us so we can go back and get ourselves back into Egypt in a place of bondage. You need to wash your hands of that lifestyle. That lifestyle that you used to live, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Your robbing Peter to pay Paul seasons are over. They've come to an end. That stagnant season, that stagnant period where you couldn't hardly get yourself going, God said, wash your hands of that stuff. God said, bury that stuff and say, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I will not see a day of lack, insufficiency, another day in my life. You're not. You got to open up your mouth and decree what the word of the Lord has said. You will arise. You will stabilize. Why? Because you have awakened. The spirit in you has been jarred. And the spirit on the inside of you has been jarred. And it has been awakened because it's time. The Bible tells us in Ecclesiastes, he said, everything happens in its time. There's a time for everything. There's a time for you to mourn. There's a time for you to cry. There's a time for us to be sad, to be born, to live, to die. There's a time for everything. It just wasn't time yet. And no matter how much you wanted it to be time, it wasn't going to be time. But God said, now is your time. So don't go into 2025 with that mentality of poor thinking, unhealthy thinking. You can't. You can't go into this next year the same person that you used to be. A lot of people who were sticking and staying with your family, they're not coming in 2025 with you. They're not. They're not going to be a part of everything that God has for you. They're not. And no matter what you do, you can't make temporary people permanent. You can't. I don't care what you do. You're going to mess up what God has for you. God said you're going to destroy the iron gate. You are going to be the person that's going to be the first to do something very magnificent. You're going to be the person that is going to be the first to do this. Nobody's going to be looking for you to do it. Nobody's going to even expect for you to do this. Nobody is going to even believe that you are accomplishing what you are accomplishing. People look down on you and God smiled at you. God said people look down on you. They frowned at you. God said, but I smiled on you. My grandmother, when she was living, she always wanted me to sing that song. God has smiled on me. I mean, sometimes I'll be in the back of the church because I never wanted to draw attention. So I will be called up, and every time my grandmother would want me to sing that song. God has smiled on me. So God has smiled on you, and God has set you free. You're free. Think free, act free, talk free, walk free. The iron gate in your life has been opened. The gates are open. What are you waiting on to go in? God said, why are you debating with me? God said, why are we still having the same conversation that we've been having for years? I told you the gate was open. So why don't you go in? God's not going to force you in. The gate is open. God said, walk in. He said, you're free. You're not bound. You think you're free. You're free. If you think you're bound, you're bound. Your mind is so powerful. This is why you got to transform your mind every single day. You have to. You didn't go through everything you've gone through with family just to suffer. God didn't create you just to go through problems. He didn't create you to go through the rest of your life not having a winning victory, not having a success. God didn't do that. The enemy wants you to believe that that's what God created you for. The enemy wants you to believe, and he wants you to succumb to your life will never get any better. You'll never reach your higher height. That's a lie from the pit of hell. And I'm here to give you confirmation today to let you know you will open the iron gate. You will pull down and destroy that iron gate. You will go free. You are going free. You're not bound. The Lord tells us, whom the Son set free is free indeed. You've been liberated talk liberated, think liberated, act liberated, and you're gonna walk it out. Get what God telling you today. Walk it out. Hashtag walk it out. Walk it out. You're gonna be the first to do it. You are gonna be the first to do this. And I'm excited for you. Thank God for everything you've gone through. Thank God for your struggles and thank God for your trials, family of God. I love all of you. Thank you so much for joining our broadcast today of You Are Enough. I'm your host, Prophetess Nikki. Don't forget to jump over to my Instagram at Nikki McCray and give me your support over there. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. Like the videos for me. Can you do me a huge favor? Like the videos for me and share them. And don't get scammed in the comment section of these videos, family. I am not on TikTok. I am not on Facebook. So if you see pages that says Prophetess Nikki G, that's not me. Report those pages if you see it on TikTok and Facebook. That's not Prophetess Nikki G McCray. I'm only here on my YouTube page and on Instagram. And I'm on Twitter, Prophetess N_M, if you all want to follow me over there. Thank y'all for purchasing the book and your products here on YouTube. I'm telling you, it is your time and it is your season. You've been feeling it, you've been sensing it, but you can't let the devil talk you out of it because of what you have endured and what you're actually going through right now. You still got to be able to say, it's my time and it's my season, because the spirit that's on the inside of you is bearing witness of what God has already said about your life. Receive it and claim it. We'll talk later. Bye-bye.